Sometimes we want to know what the person in front of us is thinking, what their intentions are, or how they really feel about us. And that feeling is natural. Anyone can wonder about it. But the problem is, people often don't say what they really think. They speak vaguely, hide their feelings, or mask their true thoughts. But here's the good news. You can get a glimpse into what someone is thinking. How? You don't need to be a magician. Simply asking the right questions can unlock the mystery. The deep wisdom of the Stoics tells us, the moment you ask the right question, even the most tightly shut doors begin to open. There's just one subtle point here, the right question. Because a question is the key to a person's inner world. People may speak at length, but only the right question can reveal what they are truly hiding. The wisdom of the Stoics teaches us this. You don't need to be a magician to understand someone. You just need to ask smart, insightful questions. Now imagine this. You want to understand the person sitting in front of you, what they feel, what fears they live with, and what their true values are. In this video, I'll show you 5 special questions that can take you deep into their thoughts. These aren't just ordinary questions, they are centuries old. Stoic lessons in observation, wisdom, and life. And a small reminder at the end, if you enjoy topics like this, make sure to subscribe to my channel, like the video, and share it with your friends. Because the door you open with just one click might shed light on someone else's inner world. Are you ready? Let's begin. Every person's mind is constantly active. Thoughts swirl endlessly, worries, daily concerns, questions about the future, and sometimes the traces of the past. That's why we all live with an underlying tension inside us. And that's also why the things that bring someone the most comfort often give the clearest insight into their identity and inner world. Imagine you are talking to someone and you ask a simple question. What brings you the most comfort? At first glance, it may seem like a simple question, but the answer can reveal a person's character, thought patterns, and even their life philosophy. For example, someone might say, I find comfort in quiet nature, listening to the sound of trees and the song of birds. This shows that their soul is connected to silence, harmony, and the natural world. They seek simplicity and balance in life. Another person might say, music is my greatest source of comfort. This indicates that they express their emotions through music and release inner tension through sound and rhythm. Others might answer, being with my family brings me comfort, showing that they draw strength from love and close relationships. According to Stoic philosophy, the place where a person finds comfort clearly reveals their life priorities. Epictetus said that our mind rests where we place our value. If your comfort is in money, you will always chase wealth. If your comfort is in status, you will constantly strive to be admired. But if your comfort is in simple things, nature, silence, friendship, then you are seeking inner stability. The question, what brings you the most comfort, is the first question you can ask someone. It also creates a fascinating psychological insight. The thing a person finds most comforting often reflects what they are most afraid of. For example, if someone says, I find comfort when I'm alone, perhaps they are tired of social interactions or have experienced harmful relationships. On the other hand, someone who says, I find comfort among people, may fear loneliness. In this sense, a simple answer often hides a long and profound life story. Here's an interesting point. When you ask this question, the person begins to pause and reflect for a moment. In most cases, people haven't even asked themselves this question. They run through life at full speed, never stopping to ask themselves, where do I feel safest? What truly brings peace to my soul? And in that moment, your question makes them think and forces them to look into their own inner world. The Stoics believed that a person's true strength lies in their inner stability. In other words, wherever and however you find comfort, that is where you truly understand yourself. That's why this question is not only a tool to understand the other person, it's also a mirror for self-reflection. Now think about it. What brings you the most comfort? Silence, nature, music, the love of those close to you, or perhaps just a moment alone? The answer to this question reveals a lot about who you are. The second question you can ask is, what do you fear the most? Fear is one of the most revealing and at the same time, one of the most hidden human emotions. Each of us fears certain things, sometimes past traumas from childhood, sometimes unknown questions about the future, and sometimes simply the fear of losing ourselves. The Stoics said that a person's fears reveal their weaknesses. In other words, fear is not just a negative feeling, it's Also a key to understanding someone's inner world. Imagine asking the person in front of you, "What do you fear the most?" Their answer often reveals past wounds, moments of failure, mistakes, or their deepest concerns about the future. Sometimes even the person themselves doesn't fully understand the root of their fear, yet when they answer, they are expressing an inner truth. For example, someone might say, "I fear being alone." This answer shows their needs, their desire for connection, or the emotional wounds they've experienced in close relationships. Another person might say, "I fear failure." This reveals how they navigate life, striving not to make mistakes and to be accepted in the eyes of others. Both answers act as mirrors to their inner world. They just reflect different aspects. In Stoic philosophy, reflecting on fear is very important. Marcus Aurelius said that fear is a tool the mind uses to deceive us. When we become prisoners of our fears, we fail to see our true strength. But if someone openly shares their answer to this question, you don't just see their weaknesses, you see the deeper layers of their personality. Another interesting point is that when people talk openly about their fears, they also reveal themselves. They show an incredible level of sincerity. In that moment, the mask falls and you see their true thoughts. Sometimes, simply talking about fear even lightens their burden, because they are sharing a weight they have carried inside. The beauty of this question is also that it reveals a person's thought patterns and life priorities. Some people make detailed plans to manage their fears, while others accept their fear and live more cautiously and mindfully. These answers show both their inner strength and their vulnerabilities. Thus, the question, "What do you fear the most?" allows you to dive into the deepest layers of a person's mind. The answers also show you that to understand someone, it's often enough just to listen and observe their fears. A person's fear is a part of their identity, and this part clearly reflects how they think and what they value. Now let's move on to the next question. As you know, for some people, happiness is measured by money and material possessions. For others, happiness comes from living within deep and healthy relationships, being close to loved ones. And for some, happiness is found only in freedom, the ability to make independent choices and live life on their own terms. Imagine asking the person in front of you a simple question. What does happiness mean to you? Note that this is the third question you can ask them. The answer might be a simple sentence, but behind it often lies a whole life story. For example, someone might say, "I find happiness being with my family." This simple answer shows that relationships and connection are the most important things in their life. They value being in touch with others, finding love and receiving support. Another person might say, "I find happiness in creativity and expressing myself." For this person, life revolves around the process of self-discovery and creation. Their work or hobbies are not just a way of passing time. For them, it is a path that nourishes the soul and unleashes their inner energy. In Stoic philosophy, the concept of happiness is deeper and more profound. Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus said that true happiness does not depend on external events. Money, status, other people's opinions, or external circumstances cannot bring genuine happiness. True happiness comes from inner stability, self-understanding, and appreciating every moment of life. This question also reveals a person's priorities. Their answer shows what they value most in life, what they avoid, and where they invest their energy. For instance, someone might say, "I am happiest when I travel freely." This shows that freedom, exploration, and new experiences are crucial to them. Another person might say, "I am happiest when serving others." This reveals that their life philosophy is based on helping others and pursuing meaningful actions. An interesting point is that people often open up when explaining their happiness. This question encourages reflection, exposes their inner world, and leads them to think deeply. Sometimes even the person themselves may not fully understand what happiness truly means to them, but the question stops them in their tracks and forces them to seek answers to life's most important questions. This question also helps you understand a person's choices and behaviors. Some evaluate happiness through the eyes of others, while others measure it through their inner feelings. For some, happiness lies in stability. For others, it is found in change and adventure. This reflects a person's life philosophy, mindset, and the structure of their inner world. So, a simple question, "What does happiness mean to you?" is a key to understanding both the other person and yourself. It reveals who they are, what they value in life, Which principles guide them and what drives them? The fourth question is, who have you learned the most from in life? Life is a lesson, and we are constantly learning. Yet there are always certain people in our lives whose influence and guidance shape us the most. This question, who have you learned the most from, allows you to understand a person's inner world and character more deeply. It shows who inspires them, whose example they follow, and under whose influence they have developed. Imagine you ask this question and the answer comes, I learned life's most important lessons from my father. This shows the value they place on family and family principles. The lessons learned from their father reflect their perspective, priorities, and what they consider important in life. Another person might say, I learned from my teachers that knowledge and experience make a person strong. This answer shows how important learning, personal growth, and the pursuit of knowledge are to them. According to Stoic philosophy, a person grows not only by observing themselves but also by learning from others. Marcus Aurelius wrote that life offers us opportunities to learn, and we must recognize and embrace them. Everyone has their teacher, sometimes a parent, sometimes a friend, and sometimes life itself. This question reveals the other person's inner compass, what they believe in, which values they prioritize, and the direction they follow in life. There are also interesting nuances in the answers. Sometimes people say, I learned from my own mistakes. This shows they have grown through experience and learned to gain wisdom from errors. Others might say, I learned from my friends, which reflects how they interact with people around them, whose influence they accept, and whose behavior they model. This question also reveals a person's life philosophy. Who they learn from shows how they structure their life, which principles guide them, and which goals they pursue. When answering, a person reflects on themselves and on those who influence them, sharing their inner world. This makes them both sincere and allows you to understand their character more deeply. Interestingly, people sometimes don't realize the lessons they've learned until this question is asked. They rush through life, never stopping to consider, who have I learned from, and how has it affected me? This question halts them, prompts reflection, and opens the door to their inner world for you. Finally, the fifth question. If today were your last day, what would you do? Death is one of life's greatest truths. In Stoic philosophy, reflecting on death is not meant to create fear or anxiety. Rather, it is a tool to live life more deeply, meaningfully, and mindfully. Marcus Aurelius said that remembering death is a reminder that guides a person toward the true values of life. Therefore, this question is not merely an interesting thought experiment, it is a gateway into a person's inner world, priorities, and true desires. Imagine asking the person in front of you, if today were your last day, what would you do? The first answer is often superficial, but then the person begins to reflect deeply. Some might say, I would spend time with my family. This answer shows the importance of love, connection, and close relationships in their life. In the rush and stress of daily life, this person might sometimes forget the most important thing, being with their loved ones. Your question stops them and reminds them of their true priorities. Another might say, I would finally pursue the dreams I've been postponing. This reveals how much passion and desire exists in their inner world. For this person, life is not just about routines and daily tasks. There are things that truly nourish the soul and make them feel alive. The question forces them to reflect and prioritize their values. In Stoic philosophy, this question carries deep meaning. Epictetus said that living each day as if it were your last is the way to truly appreciate every moment. When a person imagines their last day, trivial stresses, minor annoyances, and meaningless worries fade into the background. By asking this question, you can see what the other person truly values, what they consider important, and what they wouldn't want to lose in life. The fascinating part is that the answers often reveal a person's hidden desires. Some choose a quiet day with loved ones, while others seek risk and adventure. Some may prefer tranquility in nature, meditation, or music. Each answer reflects their inner world, priorities, and life philosophy. Sometimes people find this question difficult to answer because lifelong routines, work, and daily responsibilities have distanced them from their true desires. Yet this question stops them, compels deep reflection, and confronts them with what they truly want. Interestingly, in that moment, A person often recalls long-forgotten dreams and realizes they are still attainable. Another important aspect is that this question is not only for eliciting an answer, but also for understanding a person's inner strength. By answering, they gain clarity about themselves and their life. Each response acts as a mirror, revealing who they are, what they prioritize, why they live, and what they genuinely value. In conclusion, a simple question: if today were your last day, what would you do? Exposes a person's deepest desires, hidden wishes, and true life priorities. Stoics emphasize that this question encourages living each moment with intention, focusing on what truly matters rather than trivial worries. Remembering death is one of the strongest ways to live life more meaningfully and profoundly. So, dear viewers, the truth is, no one can truly read another person's mind. Each individual's thoughts, fears, desires, and hidden wishes reside only within them. But someone who knows how to ask the right questions can take a journey into another person's soul. Asking questions is not just about gathering information, it's a doorway into their inner world. As the Stoics said, true wisdom is not in speaking much, but in asking the right question. Indeed, a well-thought-out and purposeful question encourages someone to express themselves, reflect, and even realize what they truly want. In this way, you can understand the other person not just on a superficial level, but deeply and meaningfully. Questions like, what gives you the most comfort? What do you fear the most? What does happiness mean to you? Who have you learned the most from in life? And if today were your last day, what would you do? Reveal a person's inner world, life philosophy, and deepest desires. Understanding them requires empathy and careful attention. Remember, building genuine connections, understanding people, and creating meaningful communication does not require magic. You simply need to learn how to ask the right questions. This is a skill that enriches both your life and your relationships. If you found this video helpful and interesting, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with your friends. Turn on the notification bell so we can continue our Stoic journey together. See you in the next video.